What's up, everybody? My name is Chadwick Baum of Chadwick Baum Vlogs, and this is my podcast. All right, now let's move on to the podcast. So, let's talk about the podcast. This is the first official Chadwick Baum podcast, but this is not the first time I'm recording it, and it's very irritating to me that it's not the first time I've recorded this. This is like, I don't even want to go into how many times. I think this is like the 10th time that I've recorded this, and it's driving me up the wall. It's fucking insane. Yes, it's insane. I attempted to record this podcast several different times, but just ran out of things to say. I couldn't think of anything to say, but I just need to be spontaneous and think of stuff in the moment. So the podcast, on the subject of that, I am rebranding it. So the original podcast was called Jade's Corner, which I loved Jade's Corner because it was a place where kind of Jade had her word, like could speak on what she thought was great, and which is me, which I thought I could speak on what is great and be an LGBT supporter, as well as talk about faith-based stuff. And there was just quite this awkwardness. So I have changed that. There's not going to be any awkwardness anymore. This podcast is going to be for anything I feel is relevant that I want to talk about, whether it be LGBTQ stuff, or whether it be Christian or faith-based stuff, or whether I have other people on here just having a good, fun time, just making it a really funny podcast. And eventually I will have like some sort of basis for the podcast. I don't want to have a set thing I do on the podcast. I want it to be random, but I feel like as I go, I'm going to need things to actually talk about throughout the podcast just to kind of keep it going, because I get to points where you'll probably notice here in the next few minutes in the podcast where I kind of just stop and I'm like, so what do I talk about now, you know? And it shouldn't be like that. I want to be able to find lots of things to talk about and come up with some good stuff to talk about, some good stories, and just have an all-out good time with this podcast, because I want you guys to enjoy it as much as I am enjoying it. But on terms of rebranding the podcast, yes, I'm rebranding it to Chadwick Baum Podcast. That way, so I could use it, upload the video format of it to my YouTube, which is Chadwick Baum Vlogs. So it's going to be a part of Chadwick Baum Vlogs. They're going to be uploaded on different days, the vlogs and the podcast. So it's going to go the vlog, then the podcast, and it's going to have its own separate playlist. So you can go to the vlogs playlist, watch all the vlogs if you want, or you can go to the podcast playlist and watch or listen to the podcast. And that's another thing. There will be a video formatted audio version of the podcast on the Chadwick Baum Podcast Facebook. And I'm waiting for the name change to go through. But to find it, just type in Inspirational Post by Kate Baum and it'll show up, and you can go and like the page and follow it, and you will get notified whenever I upload a podcast there. So it'll just be a video with a picture, necessarily with audio. So you can listen to the audio, or you can just go straight to YouTube and watch it, because I unfortunately don't have a podcast software to actually upload my podcast where you can actually go and just listen to it. I'm working on figuring that out. I had one in the past that I was gonna try, but it acted like it wanted it wanted me to have people join me, and I didn't necessarily want that. And yeah, so that's that. But that's it for rebranding the podcast. Let's talk about some kind of funky things that have gone on this week and some kind of awkward things that have gone on this week. So, for the first part of the week, everything was going great and good until I fucked up. I broke the sink at my work, and you're probably wondering, how did you break the sink at your work? Yeah, we have, just like any kitchens do, we have one of those metal three sinks, the 3-part sink, it's got the 1, 2, 3. I broke the PVC pipe that connects to the sink because I noticed there was some silverware trapped down in the sink. And so I was trying to get the silverware out of the sink. I had attempted with some needle nose pliers and couldn't turn it to pull it up, and they were too fat to fit in there regardless. And then I tried using a toothpick to coax it out of there. That didn't work. And so when that didn't work, I was like, well, shoot, what am I gonna do? So I kind of looked down below and I was like, well, that PVC piping looks pretty old, and the screw fittings are probably pretty tight on there, so I probably can't do much with it. But I managed to get down and grab the pipe, and I managed to slowly turn it as hard as I could, and it started to turn. Like, I was like, oh, this is actually pretty loose. So I started loosening it, and I was like, okay, I got it loose. And I was like, now all I have to do is just pull the pipe down, and sure. Well, at first I actually tried to swivel the pipe, thinking maybe I could just swivel it, and then the silver will just drop out. Well, I realized it wasn't just screwed on to the other pipe. There was another pipe inside the pipe. So I was like, well, crap, I have to pull it down. So I started pulling it down, and it was kind of tough to pull down. So I was like, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't do this because maybe I'll break the pipe. One of those things that your brain tells you that you should listen to. But of course, where this story's going, I didn't listen. So I started pulling down on the pipe, and before you know it, just snap. And it didn't just snap at, a good part of the pipe to where, you could just cut the little broken bit off and just put a coupling there and fix it, It wasn't like that. No, actually, unfortunately, it snapped right flush with the PVC T that it was going into. So there was not much you could do. But I was so nervous, I thought, well, if they need to deduct it from my paycheck, they can. And the lead bartender was like, no, stop talking nonsense. They're not going to do that. And I said, well, I am the one that broke it. I mean, I know it was an accident, but I am the one that broke it. And even my kitchen manager said, hey, man, don't worry about it. Shit happens. And I was a little eased. And I was even more eased when I found out they got it fixed. They did some sort of different type of fix that actually works fine and great. So I was actually impressed. Yeah, so I broke the pipe at my work, which, not terrible, but, it was bad. Yeah, I will leave a picture right here if you want to see exactly the damage I did. Yes, that is the damage I did. I know. I come to terms that I am a dishwasher, not a plumber. Okay? Do not hassle me. Yeah, and then after that, it was my Friday, so I had my days off, and my days off were supposed to go really beautiful, as some of you may know, or have followed my Facebook. I was supposed to meet my new friend. I'm gonna call her by her preferred pronouns because that's what she prefers. But yes, she is trans, also just like me, male to female. I'm not gonna say her name for privacy reasons because I don't have her permission. But she came down and I did her makeup and gave her this nice big surprise I had for her. And it was supposed to go all beautiful and she was supposed to enjoy it. And it was supposed to be a great time. But for me, honestly, it wasn't a good time. It was awkward. And I mean, I expected it to be awkward because it was our first time meeting. But it wasn't that kind of awkwardness. It was just like this different type of awkwardness, like, really? Because, I mean, we got over, after like a few minutes of talking, we got over the awkwardness of first meeting. And then when I gave her the present, she just kind of said, she literally, in her words, looked at me and said, wow, this is a lot. Like, you went pretty overboard, and started like laughing. And I started laughing because I thought, well, okay, yeah, she's just kind of like jokingly saying that. Well, then she goes, yeah, you really did kind of go overboard. And I'm just like, but I was being thoughtful and helping her out because she's new to the whole trans thing and said she didn't have very many people that could help her out. And so I was just like, okay, well, sorry. I mean, I was trying. So I was a little frustrated by that. And then it came to the part where I was to do her makeup. So, and I will tell you, I am not no beauty artist. I do not know makeup very well. I mean, I can do my makeup. I mean, really good to my standards, but it's not professionally, like, I'm not great at it. You know, I'm terrible when it comes to makeup, even though people tell me differently, but I am just not great when it comes to makeup. So I went to do her makeup, and first off, I told her, well, okay, so let's start off by having you go in the bathroom and shave because, after all, yes, she is male to female and doesn't live full-time as female yet, as the same as me. So our plan was to have her shave, do her makeup, and then we were gonna go out on the town and get some lunch and have fun. Well, she went in the bathroom to shave, and she came out, and I'm not trying to be rude, but there's definitely some things that we can work on, and she definitely said this too. After I got done doing the makeup, there's definitely some room for improvements. And that's exactly what I felt because, as you know, when I first started, I wasn't perfect. I had facial hair showing when I was my feminine self, and it was very, very just awkward and weird, and there was definitely awkward tension. And, you know, I felt so bad for her that I just didn't want to say anything. And then when she said something, I felt 10 times better. She said there's room for improvements. I said, well, yeah, there's trial and error with this kind of lifestyle. I mean, it's difficult when you first start out, but once you get the hang of it and you find your own little niche, instead of doing, oh, this person does this, so this works good for me. Well, you kind of have to honestly find what really works well for yourself. Like, you have to find out what definitely works for, like, say, you have to find out what techniques work better for your facial shape or what foundation works for your skin type, you know. And it was fun and all. We had a great time. But there was just this awkward tension of like, okay, what's going on here? And then it came to the part after I did her makeup to where I was to go shave and shower and do my makeup. And I'll tell you this, I actually should have shaved and all that and done my makeup first off from the get-go. Because it takes me so much longer than it took her to do everything, that I should have thought about that, you know? I didn't think about that. And now that I've surpassed this day, I'm glad that I didn't do what I did. And the thing of it is after I got in the shower, shaved and everything, she was done. Like, she was ready to take all the makeup off, like, just wanted to wear it for a split second. And yeah. And another thing, she was actually supposed to spend the night, and we were just gonna have a good old time. Well, she ended up not being comfortable with spending the night, since it was our first time meeting, which is understandable. So I was fine with that. I mean, I was also actually not too comfortable with that either, but I just thought maybe hang out, you know, have fun, just do whatever, watch movies, but yeah, she just said she'd feel comfortable. She went home that day instead. So yeah, so we took off all the makeup and she ended up going home that night. Well, she left about half of the present that I got her. I got her like this big deal, but multiple things within this present. And she left about half of it, and some of it was understandable because the shoes I got her didn't fit, and she just left a bunch of stuff. So I was kind of like, well, what the fuck? And it's like, I got you this present and you're just gonna leave half of it at my house like you don't care about it or don't want it? And it's not like I could just like walk over to her place and be like, here, you left this at my house. She lives out of town. She lives in Pendleton. And I'm like, well, you can't really just leave this at my house because I don't drive. And it's not like I could just throw this in a car and be like, all right, I'll be there in 2 hours or however long it takes to get there, you know? It's the thing, I've never driven there. I mean, I've been driven by people there, but it's like, I can't just take this to you. So I texted her and I wanted to be like, what the fuck? But I was like, hey, listen, why did you leave half of your present here? Like, did you not care for it or something? And she responded with, no, it's not that at all. It's just I thought I had everything, and it's like, so what I'm gonna end up doing is keeping it in the same box it's in, and I'm gonna take it that direction when I take my yearly trip to Walla Walla for the G3 conference I go to every year. And speaking on terms of that, I have to get my stuff together for that. But anyways, yeah, so that's the plan with that. I plan to take the rest of her stuff to her, and I'm fine with texting for now, but I don't think I want to actually meet with her again until I feel fairly comfortable. And mainly it was just awkward for me because she isn't quite as experienced yet with shaving and makeup and doing all this trans related stuff. And to me, it just almost doesn't seem like she's genuinely trans, but I can't say that. I can't I can't say that for somebody. I mean, I get it that she's new to this and she's still working on it, so it may just be that. But I saw a whole different side of her when she was female, and it's like, it was just awkward for me because she still had beard hairs sticking out, and it was just, I don't want to be rude. So I'm just going to stop there, and I don't want to get into any more detailed about how our day went. But yeah, that was that. So let's move on and talk about this G3 conference that I need to get ready for. For those of you who haven't followed my YouTube channel and heard me talk about this, the G3 conference is a Christian youth conference I go to every year. I've been going since 2014, 15. I was actually invited by my best friend, Brandon Collins, as you guys know on my channel. He invited me to this Christian youth conference, and I was all excited. So I went with my church, New Song. I almost just called them New Song United. I was thinking of Hillsong. Sorry, guys. But no, I went with my church, New Song, and I had never been to this thing before, and so I was all like curious and like, well, what is this? I was like, this will be fun. I was like, I love church-based stuff. I said, this should be fun. This is my alley. This is like church-related things. Well, we show up to the Christian youth conference and we check in, and then we go get dinner, and then all of us with the church go and come and we go to the church. Well, we get inside and we're all inside and we're like standing there and we're waiting for the conference to start. We're all standing outside, and as I'm standing there with Brandon, he's talking with a bunch of friends he knew from, because he's been to this before, so he's talking to a bunch of friends from previous years that he's seen. And so I'm standing there just looking around like uncomfortable, like this is not my scene. I wish I wasn't here right now. And I seen fog rolling out the door of this sanctuary, of this church. I see fog rolling from under the door coming out, and like occasionally someone would walk through the door and walk out the door, and I'm just like, what is this? I was like, I'm kind of sitting here freaking out at this point. I'm like, what exactly did you bring me to, Brandon? Like, and I kind of like tapped him on the shoulder. I was like, where are we? What is this? And he's like, don't worry. He's like, this is going to be fun. You're going to really, truly love it. And I was like, all right. I was like, I truly hope so. Well, we get inside, and to be completely honest, it was exactly like church, but it was like church turned up on a higher level for like youth, and like it's great. And little did I know, their church is actually exactly like their conferences, and it's awesome. Like they, like, I'm gonna use a weird term here, they turn up when we get into like all the music and getting into the Word of God. They turn it up there, and this is at Life Church in Walla Walla. But yeah, dude, I had the best night of my life, and it was honestly really great. If you go to church and you're looking for a church to try, even if you're not in the area, I say definitely at some point make the trip to Walla Walla, Washington, here in the United States, and check it out. Go to Life Church. It is awesome. Like, I love it. I had the best experience of my life. And after the conference is when everybody gets set up with their host home, because all the kids and youth that come with their respective church, each kids have a host home. And well, this was completely awesome. I was nervous that I was going to be randomly selected to stay with a bunch of people that I did not know, like from my church. Like, I go to that church, I go there every Sunday, but I didn't know all the youth in the church. So I was very out of my scene, uncomfortable. Well, lucky enough, I got put with Brandon, which was great. I got put with him, and I felt comfortable with that. And we got our own host home with this amazing guy. His name was Slice. I heard that his name was Slice, and I was like, whoa, this guy sounds like a cool guy. Sounds like tough guy. He probably has an axe or something in his garage, you know, like rides Harleys. And I mean, he did ride Harleys. He had a motorcycle on, which is pretty cool. But yeah, this guy was nice, and this guy had a beautiful home, and we stayed with him. Well, it was the best G3 trip I ever had, and it was my first one, and it was great. But I don't know if I've been looking at the camera, guys, sorry. It was the best trip I've ever had, and I just really have loved it since then. The next few times we went, me and Brandon ended up going by ourselves. I mean, our church went, but we didn't go with our church. We went by ourselves because there was a lot of rules involved with our church. We basically just wanted the freedom of going by ourselves. And plus, we actually wanted to start going to their church. So every year we go, we end up staying later dates than the conference is. So we can check out their Saturday night and their Sunday night church. And we do that. And it's fun. And a lot of times, we'll stay for the Saturday church and then go to the Sunday church, and it's great. I love it. I've had a blast every time I've gone, but unfortunately this year Brandon is not going due to financial situation, and it really sucks. He can't afford to take off the time, and I'm just going because it's literally going to be my last time. Not my last time. Next year will be my last time, but it's one of my last times getting to go to this conference, and I wish I would have known about it earlier in life because I definitely would have gone. Yeah, I wish I could have been involved with my church when I was a little bit younger in high school, you know. But I was currently going to my old church that I grew up in, which is no longer a church. But to speak about now in relevant times about the conference, I need to get my stuff together because I haven't yet. And it's because I haven't gotten paid yet. My last paycheck, I would have taken care of all this on my last paycheck, but my last paycheck was only $150, which is not enough to even cut the mustard. But yes. So I actually am going by myself this year. As I said, Brandon is not going this year. So I've been trying to align all my ducks in a row. So I'm actually going to be staying in an Airbnb because I had a bad experience with the motels with the motel I stayed in there, and the previous year, the other motel I stayed in. So there's 2 motels I've stayed in there. So I've stayed in the Motel 6, which is terrible. They lie like a son of a gun because all their pictures on Facebook are literally spruced up, and they used trick photography to make it look beautiful as ever. Like their pool looks stunning and clean. Like, wow, that is an awesome pool. And then they make it look so nice. They took it in the summer, all the pictures in the summer. And then when you actually arrive there, it's terrible. Like when I arrived there, there was a guy being loud as ever, blowing leaves, like, you know? And I had just gotten off a bus because I don't drive, so I took a bus there, a charter bus. and just gotten off the bus and wanted to rest before the conference. Well, there was a guy out there blowing leaves. Like, come on, dude. I just want to take a nap. And it wasn't just that the motel was bad. I mean, beds were comfortable and it was great to just get off my feet and have like a vacation, you know, and experience the Word of God. But like, I know you got to be in some bad situations before God will take you to the good situations. That's just my theology. I'm not quoting that from anything. I'm just saying that from my words. But when I went to pay for the motel, I was told it was going to be a set price. And I knew that with it being Washington, there's going to be some taxes involved. And I don't know if where you guys are from has taxes, you know, like sales tax and all that. But here in Oregon, we don't. But I went to pay for it, and I literally had $500. I had $500 for the trip. And the motel was like $300 something. So I literally had no money left whatsoever, hardly, for the trip. I had like $100 and something left by the end of it. And I was like, I can't use $100 and something for the rest of this trip. I would literally have to save that for all my meals for the trip. It's like, I can't seriously, like, what if I see something in a store or something when I'm walking around checking wall to wall out that I want to purchase, you know? No, I can't do that because, you want to know why? Because it's going to cost too much. And I won't have any money to purchase myself food for the trip, for my dinner, my lunch, and my breakfast. Well, yeah, I was very irritated with this motel. And the guy was very picky. He said, now, I want no guests in your room whatsoever. It's only you two allowed. And I'm like, geez, man. I was like, we're not pimps. We're not going to bring no hookers, no drugs or anything in this motel. And it's like, geez, calm down, buddy. But it was bad. And then the previous year, the motel me and Brandon had stayed in, actually the previous 2 years we stayed in the same motel. This was actually the local motel there in town. It was a local Walla Walla. It wasn't like a name brand, you know, corporate motel that's everywhere in the United States and around the world. But this was just your local, you know, motel. Well, I get checked in, and originally Brandon wasn't going to stay with me, but he ended up changing his mind. So he stays with me. Well, we get in the room, and I'm like, okay, well, this is fine and dandy, la da da da, whatever. And surprisingly enough, there was 2 beds, believe it or not, which totally not planned. But so Brandon stays with me, and while we're enjoying this Christian conference, next door, every night we come home or come back to the motel, there's a guy next door that is not only is being noisy and loud, but he's bringing prostitutes every night. Like, he was trading and sleeping with different prostitutes every night. And literally next to the other side of us, there was a guy beating his animal and his dogs. And literally, we wanted to report him so badly, but we weren't from Walla Walla, so we didn't know any sort of animal shelters in the Walla Walla area. And I was very, like, hurt by this poor animal being abused, and I couldn't do nothing about it. I mean, obviously, I could have walked over there, knocked on the guy's door, and said, listen, I need you to stop abusing your dog before I call the cops, you know? But I'm not that brave. I'm not my mother. My mother would have totally done something about it. She would have had corporate of the animal commercials with, what's her name, Sarah McLachlan on the phone. Like, this guy is abusing these dogs. And like, my mother is a badass when it comes to that shit. Like, you better watch out because my mom will get shit done, bitch. My mom is fucking awesome. If you're watching this, mama, this is great. You are a badass. And shit, I should have my mom on the podcast. Wouldn't that be cool, guys? Yeah. You get her not to be so like shy, and like get her on the podcast and have her tell some of her badass stories. I'm gonna jump off subject here for a minute, but literally this one time we were at Starbucks, and the lady at Starbucks, the person in front of us said, yeah, I want the kids hot chocolate for like her 16-year-old daughter. And the gal at the counter goes, nope, sorry, it's for this age and above or whatever. But there was no age. And my mom knew that because, sorry to kind of put her on blast, but she's an avid Starbucks drinker. And if anybody knows, it's my mom. And my mom got on the phone with corporate, fucking ripped corporate a new one. They gave her some coupons or whatever, and no matter what she does, she always gets coupons out of something, so you better watch out. Cross my mom, your corporate office is gonna get called, and she's gonna get some shit. And it's not because she wants to get shit and feels like she's entitled to shit, but like, she's just standing up for the people that take the shit. It's like, don't take the shit, people. Stand up for your goddamn selves. And like, I mean, it's great to stand up and fight for people, but we need more people in this world that don't let people walk all over them. You know, it's like, you gotta say something when it's time to say something. But yeah, my mom was just a badass. That's what I'm trying to get at. And yeah, she ended up resolving the situation. But anyways, back to the G3 subject. Yeah, there was a guy beating his dog, so unfortunately I couldn't say anything. So we just enjoyed the rest of the conference and had a great time, and yeah, it was great. And the previous year when we stayed in that same hotel, we had a room there, and the room was very nasty and gross, and there was dog food all up in the cabinets. It was just terrible. There's some weird, I don't know if it's dog food or what, but it was like dog food consistency in the walk-in closet that this motel had. And I'm like, okay, first off, I just want to know, why does a motel need a walk-in closet in the first place, unless somebody's staying there for like a week? But like, I didn't understand why you need a walk-in closet in a motel. Like a hotel, a nice expensive hotel room you pay for, that's understandable. And that's another thing I'll get into. But yeah, it was just nasty. The lights flickered. And literally their sign for this motel is the same sort of font and neon blue sign, just like the Bates Motel. And it's like, are you serious? No. Why? Why would you do this? I get if you were like a fan of it and we're trying to do that, but like, no, that's scary. But anyway, in previous years, I have gone to this G3 conference. I have stayed in hotels. I stayed in actually one hotel on the G3 trip that I went there. And I stayed in a, what was it? It was a Marriott hotel, but which now, since I've stayed in one, I get calls from Marriott Hotel like, oh, we noticed you stayed in one of our resorts before. Would you like to book a trip for another one? And I'm like, no. And there is those Marriott scam calls. They're not from Marriott, but they're scam calls that say, welcome. You have stayed in a Marriott hotel and are registered for a reward. Please click here to claim your reward. I totally worded that wrong, but you know, you get the gist. They're trying to get you to give your information, and they're trying to waste your time. And a lot of times when I get scam calls, I'll tell you this, I waste their time. Now this is gonna be very raunchy, what I'm gonna say next, so if you're a kid and you're watching this, just go ahead and like, skip through this. Skip through this. But one time I got a scam call, and literally I knew they were gonna try to waste my time, so I decided to waste their time. The guy says, not to be racist, but Asian people are, no, just kidding. Not, but seriously, not to be like stereotypical, but the guy was on the phone like, hello, sir. And I'm like, yes, hello. And he's like, hi, I'm calling from something financial. He said, I just won't do the accent, but he said that my credit card was past due to be paid and I needed to pay it. And so I said, listen, I said, I understand, but I said, I can't help myself, man. I said, I love watching porn. I use my credit card for nothing but porn. I just watch porn. And that was just a joke. And I know I'm talking about Christian stuff, and then immediately I bounce from Christian stuff to porn. And it was just a joke. I was wasting his time, and he said, well, sir, I understand. I was like, I understand the situation is serious, but I just love watching porn, and that's why I can't get around to paying it, you know? I just rack up this huge bill, and he's like, well, I understand that, sir, but you need to pay your bill. And I was like, well, I'm sorry, I can't help you. I have to get back to my porn, and I hung up on him. And I never received another call from that company ever again. It's always different who calls me. And as of recently, I've been getting voicemails on my phone saying, hey, you called my phone. Can you please give me a call back when you get this? And it's like, dude, it was obviously a telemarketer. And if I'm not going to call back, that means, one, I don't know who the hell you are. Or two, why would I call you in the first place? I never called you anyway. It's like, it's a telemarketer using my number. And it's like, dude, I'm not going to call a random stranger back that I don't even know. I get you don't know who I am either, but still, like, this is crazy. What did I do with my drink? Apparently, guys, I had a Gatorade, but apparently I didn't bring it in here unless it's sitting somewhere around here. No, it's not sitting around. What the heck, guys? I had a Gatorade I was going to drink on this podcast. I must have left it in the bedroom. That really sucks, guys. I wanted a Gatorade. I'm like dying of thirst here from all this talking. So, man, we're getting into some time here on the podcast. And obviously I know that it's not like, what should I say, actually? I obviously know the time here says I'm running on almost 50 minutes so far, like, so basically close to and almost an hour, but I know I haven't been going that long because I took some time to do some like skits and whatnot in this little podcast, which unfortunately to those of you that are on Facebook listening to this, I do apologize and I'm sorry, but get over yourselves, Rebecca. Sorry, I just had to lean into the mic and say that. I'm sorry for those of you on the video that like, that was loud, because I'm syncing this audio with the video and it's just funny. But, yeah, there wasn't much really to talk about in this podcast, and I'm glad I didn't freeze up. And I'm glad I didn't say, well, I don't really know what to talk about now. But I'm going to go ahead and end the podcast here. I truly hope that you guys enjoyed the very first podcast of Chadwick Baum Podcast. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you're on YouTube. And if you're on Facebook, make sure to like and comment. And go ahead and email me at chadwickbaumvlogs.com if you want to see anything different in the podcast that you want me to do. Or go ahead and message the Facebook. And remember, guys, the Facebook is Inspirational Posts by Kate Baum until I get the Facebook name changed. And then it will be Chadwick Baum Podcast. But go ahead to my Facebook too. If you want me to do anything or want to see anything, go ahead and message the Facebook page and be like, hey, I think you should do this. Or hey, I think you should have this guest on. Or if you even want to be a guest on the podcast, definitely message me or email me. Like I said, Chadwick Baum Podcast. Chadwick Baum Podcast is where you can message me, and chadwickbombvlogs@gmail.com is where you can email me your questions, suggestions, or if you want to be on the podcast. All right, guys. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to get your merch.